Good morning. Good morning. Any day we're talking about housing in New York City is a good day, right? We are on the cusp of so much explosive growth in our housing industry, and I'm so proud to be here with our leaders. Representing the Adams administration, we have Deputy Mayor Maria Tory Springer. I look forward to continuing our relationship. This is our third event together. We always do housing together. We've got some great announcements. You've been extraordinary and a great champion for new housing in New York City. I think we were here in July of 2023. We announced a series of executive actions to jumpstart housing growth. And then just this past February, what a great day it was in Gowanus when we had over 5,000 installed units. So we've been working closely together. So thank you and the administration for all your efforts to make sure that we build a more livable, affordable New York City. Also, really proud to have our elected officials who's been acknowledged here today, but I want to give them a special shout out. Our state senators, Brian Kavanaugh and Kristen Gonzalez, our Assembly members, Linda Rosenthal, Emily Gallagher, Alex Borges, Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, and also Rachel Fee, who's been at our side as we negotiated the most complicated, most effective housing deal in over 50 years here in the state of New York. You've been a tremendous partner. I want to thank you. And of course, Manny Pasrich of 32BJ, who's been at our side also, making sure that the working men and women of this state have a piece of the pie, and I want to thank him for his leadership as well. You know, when I first became governor 3 years ago, I vowed to take on the housing crisis head on. A lot of people said, don't go there. It's hard. It's complicated. A lot of slings and arrows will be coming at you. But I said, I'm willing to take on the entrenched interest and the NIMBYs out there who understand we want to protect what they have, but that shuts out too many other people. And we had to cut through the red tape and the grinding bureaucracy that just made so many people say, I just can't build here. Because we desperately need more housing in the state of New York and in the city of New York. And people said, don't go there, you're going to lose. In my administration, we do things differently. I live by Teddy Roosevelt's philosophy about acknowledging it's not the critic who counts, but it's the man or the woman who are actually in the arena, sometimes getting bloodied, sometimes getting beaten down. But you don't shy away from the hard battles, because typically those are the ones that are truly worth fighting. And the play it safers and the keyboard warriors don't tell us what to do. It only strengthens our resolve to get in that arena, stay in that arena, and continue fighting for the people of this state. And for what we believe in, fight for what we believe in. And I'll tell you who I believe in. I believe that teachers and firefighters and law enforcement and healthcare workers should be able to live in the communities they serve. That is a right that they should have. I believe that young people coming here with that excitement in their hearts, they leave a great college, come here to build their dreams, launching their careers, they should be able to afford a decent apartment. And I believe that parents raising their kids should have the same neighborhoods for their children so they can get acquainted with their grandchildren. And I believe that seniors who gave so much to their communities over their lifetime, living now on fixed income, struggling, should not be forced out of the places they spent their entire lives. These are the people I'm fighting for. And if you ask so many of them, what is your number one concern? What are you worried about? And it's just the phrase affordability, but also cost of living is so high. And what's your number one expense here in New York? Your number one expense? Housing. It's your apartment, it's your rent, or if you're fortunate enough to have a home, it is your mortgage. So how do we get over that? How do we solve this crisis? It is so simple, my friends. We build, 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 build. We increase the supply. Now, I had some fights. Not everybody agreed with me. We kept fighting. And as I said, we passed the most significant housing package in Albany in 50 years. And one of the things we had to do was acknowledge that 2 years earlier, when the legislature allowed the 421A exemption to lapse, And I was told by some people that people will build anyhow. The developers will build anyhow. They don't need this incentive. They'll just keep building without an incentive to build affordable housing. I said, I don't think so. Not how it works. But we tested that theory. They tested that theory. And after 2 years, new housing permits and starts go down 85%. That was another lost time frame. We could have been building more, trying to dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in instead of digging it even deeper. So I stood up this year and said, okay, that didn't work. Are you with me now? We try to solve this. So developers have relied on this since the 1970s. You know why they needed it in the 1970s? Because people didn't want to build then. The city was in crisis, spiraling. Crime was up. Financials, it was a disaster. Our finances were in trouble. We didn't know the future of New York City, so you had to incentivize people to build there. So why, after a global pandemic, when people are starting to question, is this the place to build, and all the expenses going up, inflation going up, interest rates going up, why wouldn't we keep incentives in place to get people to do something that we benefit from? Affordable housing gets built this way. So I knew if we didn't at least extend the deadline, say, okay, let's pick up the pieces. Let's go at it again. If we didn't extend the deadline for applications for 421A, projects would dry up and come to a screeching halt. And we could not lose any more, not during a nationwide housing crisis, not with vacancy rates in the city of New York hovering around 1.4%, the lowest since the 1960s. People surrender before they start. Like I said, you have to take off the gloves. Some were with us. I appreciate the leaders who were with us. But a lot of people dug in, but we said at least let's get this an extension from 2026 to 2031. And today, with that extension, you're seeing the results of that hard-fought fight. And in a few months, just in a few months since the window opened for these extensions for projects that already started, that were shut down, they were dead now. We have received applications for the 421A extension for 71,000 apartments, including 21,000 affordable units, over 650 buildings. That's just since this past summer when I signed it into law. How extraordinary is that? That's what we're here to celebrate. 21,000 affordable housing units that were going to be dead and buried. That's home for more families. 21,000 homes for working class New Yorkers that children can grow up in. Single moms and people are taking care of their grandparents, their parents, adults, recent graduates. Tens of thousands of people will be able to be free of the crippling stress that comes when rent is just too damn high. And people finally say, we have a place, we have a home. And this is just part of one piece of our grander vision. We create an incentive once that expires, and all those amazing units are built and glimmering in our sky. We have a replacement, 485X. We also have a way to incentivize the conversion of office space into affordable housing. It makes so much sense. And you just have to step back and say, why do we have so many barriers? Why? Why do we make it so difficult to do what other cities have done? And you think about why people leave New York State, I study this. Top 5 destinations people go to if they're not staying here in New York. Florida and Texas, I can't speak for you, you have to deal with the weather. You'll be back, you'll be back. But think about this. The rest aren't leaving because of taxes or the weather here. It's New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. Those are the top destinations. They have nice governors too. I know them all. But they're not New York. So how are we losing this? How are we losing the race to build more housing to other states that are our neighbors, have the same weather, same taxes, same environmental challenges, and more people want to be here? This is a failure of ambition that I will no longer tolerate, and have spoken on this for my entire time as governor, and will continue working with the mayor and his administration to break down all these barriers once and for all and say, we will build here in New York. And so other things, other challenges, the housing density, a cap on housing density. Why? We keep those in place. We're saying no to so many more people who want to be here. We had to face down opposition and all, but even to that, these common sense initiatives. But we are successful. And now the city is running with the baton. We handed it off to you. And the Planning Commission recently approved zoning changes under the City of Yes housing plan. Thank you, thank you. And a number of those could not have happened if we didn't take action at the state level first to say you have the power to do it. And that's the beauty of a relationship that works. And I also want to thank New York City on becoming a pro-housing community, a certified pro-housing community. Now you wonder what that means. Now when I first went on my first go-round with our housing initiative, everybody said, no sticks, we don't like to be beaten down. Okay, what's your alternative? Give us a lot of carrots. So those of you may recall, I showed up at a press conference, the biggest carrots I could find. These weren't those little ones that end up in a plastic bag and you don't really know if they're real or not. This is a big, big bunch of carrots. I said, how about $650 million worth of carrots on the table if you become a pro-housing community? Now, at first, there were just a couple. I said, well, they're going to do very well, these local governments, because $650 million, I'm dividing up among these top 5. Oh, boy, that got the competitive juices going. I was just on Long Island yesterday, and they're saying, no, hurry up and certify us. Hurry up and certify us. We want some of that money. The far reaches, Republican communities on the far reaches of Long Island are signing up for this. That's what it's all about. When you refuse to take no for an answer, you find another path forward, and you are successful. So the legislature and I have worked so closely together on this, making sure that we have this money available. It's discretionary state funding that'll go to communities, and now New York City has been certified, so you'll be getting a share of this as well with your application. So I want to close with this. New York is the greatest state in the nation. And I believe it's because of its people. The people who stay here and those who are drawn here, attracted to the energy and vitality and the life. I spend a lot of time walking around this city. You do not know it's me because I change baseball caps every night, and I have different sunglasses and a different pair of jeans. But that is me who just came over here over the weekend, took the ferry over, walked along Brooklyn Bridge Park, jaw-droppingly beautiful, walked through our communities, went down to Lower Manhattan, took the ferry back over there, walked everywhere, ended up at Barclays, saw the Liberty win. It was a great game. I'm out there all the time. I'm looking up at the sky. I want to see more building. I want to see more building because I want more people to have the joy of living here. And it's not easy. And it may not be for the faint of heart. But once you have decided you want to be a New Yorker, there's something exceptional about the experience. And I want people to know that this can be and continues to be the land of promise, a place where anything is possible. But I know you can't chase your dreams without a roof over your head. And for all those decades, people ignored the challenges. They didn't build. They just wouldn't take on the fights. We're here for them today. That era is over. We are here to build. We fought the status quo, and today, as a result, and we're just beginning, 71,000 units will now be built. Everyone deserves that right to live with dignity and to become a New Yorker. Thank you very much. With that, let me introduce First Deputy Mayor Rhea Torrey Springer.
Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you today to share and celebrate the incredible progress we've made together in implementing one of our major state legislative achievements, the extension, of course, of the 421A program. Now, in the face of this housing crisis, we've known that we really don't have any more time for hand-wringing, for finger-pointing, for pearl-clutching, that it is time for action. And we are so fortunate that we have in Governor Hochul, that we have in Mayor Eric Adams, that we have in the elected leaders who have joined us here this morning, and the incredible partners in labor and in industry and in advocacy, the constellation of leaders who have a radical bias towards action. Because that is what's needed, right? To confront this housing crisis that has for too long not just plagued neighborhoods, but really undermined the well-being of individuals and families across the 5 boroughs. And it wasn't that long ago, in the throes of our work in Albany with so many partners, that we made the case for the extension of the 421A program. And what is so important about today's announcement is that we said at the time this was really needed. We said at the time that we couldn't put at risk the tens of thousands of homes that could have been built because there was no action on the 421A program. And today we have the evidence of need, and it is borne out in the letters of intent that we are announcing today. The governor mentioned 650 buildings representing 71,000 new homes and 21,000 affordable units. Now, it took that leadership, that success in Albany with the landmark housing deal, and it also took the incredible efforts of public servants at the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, represented here today by Commissioner Adolfo Carrion. So I just want to thank you for making sure that we use the tools that we fought so hard to get last legislative session and use them with speed, with urgency, and with so much energy. And so between the numbers we are announcing today and the record production, again made possible by HPD and HDC in the last fiscal year, the new rules that we just published for the new 421A program, for the new office tax incentive program, with all of the steps that we are taking to take advantage of the lifting of the FAR cap that the governor mentioned. And of course, what is really, we are poised to not just take action on, but we are poised to really meet the ambition that the governor mentioned before for our city. The City of Yes for housing opportunity. In just a few short weeks, our great partners of the City Council will be voting on this initiative. And it is so critical, not just because of the 1.4% rental vacancy rate, not just because of the tens of thousands of New Yorkers, mostly women and children, who slept in shelters last night, but truly because I believe, and I know so many in this room believe, that our ability to not just meet the moonshot, but our ability to move the needle on this housing crisis, this will be the defining task of this generation. I really do believe that. I know you all do too. And so I just cannot state enough how important this moment is in our city's history. And we have the opportunity to use all these tools with the energy that I mentioned. We have the ability to take a big step forward, a great leap forward in our city through the City of Yes for housing opportunity. And we have to keep going. I was talking to the senator earlier. We got a lot done in housing last session together, but there's so much more to do. And so if there's one message that I will leave you with, it is certainly one of gratitude for the many levels of government and many partners across the sectors who made today possible. But it is, of course, continued encouragement and a continued call to action for all of the work that we must continue to do to make sure that this city, and the governor mentioned, this Annie Peistrich.
All right, I can't resist. 32. All right, Good morning, and thank you, Maria, for that introduction. Governor Hochul, thank you, bringing us together today to celebrate more housing for New Yorkers, to celebrate more affordable housing for New Yorkers, and also to celebrate more union standards jobs as we go along the way. I also want to thank the work that the mayor is doing, and thank you, First Deputy Mayor Torres Springer. Your continued leadership is so important to this thing. And I also want to just say, who's speaking next, Rachel Fee is an incredible advocate, and we have appreciated working with you as well. This is the kind of day I love, gathering with elected officials, labor partners, and advocates, the leaders of our great city and state, coming together to address the needs of working people and union members like we need so desperately. 32 BJ members expect us to bargain good contracts, and we do, but they also expect us to be the voice on the issues that our 100,000 members here in New York care about. And first and foremost among those issues outside the workplace is the rising cost of housing, the eviction threats, and not being able to find housing near where you work. So thanks to the governor's leadership, the mayor's leadership, the leadership in the state Senate and Assembly, we passed a statewide bill for the first time in 3 years that addressed housing. It supported new development, it had labor standards, it had affordable housing requirements, and it finally put a stop to the worst of the rent gouging. And today we celebrate the progress that's been made thanks to the extension of 421A that was part of that legislation. As president of the largest building service union in the nation, I see the positive impacts that policies like 421A have on both our city's housing crisis, as well as creating good paying jobs. And I will say, with the Yankees and the Mets in the playoffs, New York City's looking for a double win. But today, and through this legislation, we accomplished a triple win. First, we incentivize more housing. We won't solve the problem until we build hundreds and thousands of new units. Second, we're creating more affordable housing for our members, for working people, and the poorest, so they have a place to live in this city. And third, we haven't lost sight that these developments need to create good paying jobs so people can afford to live in the city. So when we can connect good jobs and good housing policy, that's the kind of win 32 BJ members can get excited about. 32 BJ members are a testament to what it looks like, or what a 421A program should look like. We know thousands of our members live in these 421A buildings, and we know thousands of our members work in good union jobs in these 421A buildings. And that's precisely what the governor's 421A extension legislation has done and made possible, so thank you for your leadership. But listen, there's legislation and there's results, and the results are in. 71,000 units of housing, 20,000 affordable housing units. That is incredible progress that we're here to celebrate today. So with that, give me a 32. So I'll just end with one more thank you to the governor. Thank you to the mayor, the administration, and their continued leadership on behalf of working families. And let's keep moving forward. Let's make City of Yes a reality. Let's push forward in Albany to make sure New York works for working families. Thank you all. So I have the honor of introducing Rachel Fee from the New York Housing Conference.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rachel Fee. I'm Executive Director of the New York Housing Conference. We're an affordable housing policy and advocacy organization, and we fight for good housing policy. We look at data and results. The results here today are indisputable. 71,000 new homes and 21,000 will be affordable. I want to thank our state's leading housing advocate, Governor Hochul, and also the New York State Legislature for extending the 421A construction deadline to make sure that every last qualifying project will get built. It is critical that New York City has an ongoing, reliable tax incentive to spur new construction, and that it requires affordable housing. Our New York City Housing Tracker data shows that 421A has been effective in creating thousands of affordable housing units in high-cost neighborhoods that would not have been built without it. We are optimistic that its replacement, 485X, will create even more affordable housing. The new program demands more deeply affordable housing. It will help small buildings get built in low-density neighborhoods, and it will bring back affordable homeownership production to New York City. New York City can maximize affordable housing production under 485X with the passage of the City of Yes for housing opportunity. The City Council has before them this proposal to reform New York City's zoning to add more housing in every neighborhood, and we urge them to pass it. A recent poll found that 72% of New Yorkers support this proposal. They want action to lower rents, to create homeownership opportunities, and get access to affordable housing in every New York City neighborhood. Each level of government must do its part to make living in New York more affordable. Thank you to Governor Hochul, and thank you for everyone today.
That concludes our